In search and rescue, you get used to strange things. You get used to finding lost hikers. You get used to finding abandoned campsites. And sometimes, you don't find anything at all. But every once in a while, a case comes along that stays with people for years. Not because it was solved, because it wasn't. The 5 cases you're about to hear all have one thing in common. Experienced rescuers still can't explain what happened. And the final case ended with a radio transmission that nobody has ever forgotten. Most search and rescue operations follow a pattern. Someone gets lost, a team is dispatched, evidence is collected, and eventually, answers are found. But not always. Every year, thousands of people disappear in forests, mountains, and national parks across North America. Most are located within hours, some take days, a few are never found. And then there are the cases that investigators still talk about years later, not because they were supernatural, not because they were impossible, but because no one has ever managed to explain them completely. Tonight, we're looking at 5 search and rescue cases that still don't make sense, and we'll start with a child who somehow appeared miles away from where he vanished. Case 1. The child who was found too far away. Most search and rescue calls are exactly what you'd expect. Someone gets lost, weather turns bad, a trail is missed. Then a team goes out and brings them home. This wasn't one of those calls. The incident happened during a family camping trip in the mountains. It was late afternoon. A 5-year-old boy named Evan was playing near the campsite while his parents packed equipment into their truck. Neither parent thought much of it. The area was quiet. Other families were nearby, and Evan had never wandered far before. His mother later estimated that she looked away for less than a minute. When she looked back, he was gone. At first, nobody panicked. Most parents know how these situations usually go. A child runs behind a tree, finds an interesting rock, starts chasing something. You call their name, they come running back, except Evan didn't. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. By sunset, search and rescue teams were organizing a search. The strange thing was that there were no clues, no witnesses, no footprints, no sound, nothing. It was as if the boy had simply disappeared. The search continued through the night. Volunteers searched trails, crews checked streams, thermal drones scanned large sections of forest. Nothing. Then on the afternoon of the second day, Evan was found, alive, cold, hungry, but alive. The location shocked everyone. He was more than 7 miles away from the campsite. The terrain between those 2 points was difficult even for trained adults. Steep slopes, dense woods, rocky ridges. Yet somehow, a 5-year-old child had crossed all of it. When rescuers asked how he got there, his answer created even more questions. He said a tall woman had helped him. He said she stayed with him through the night. He said she brought him to the location where rescuers eventually found him. Investigators assumed another camper must have been involved, but nobody matching that description was ever identified. No footprints were found nearby. No evidence suggested another person had been there. And years later, people still debate how a child managed to reach that location. Maybe there was a simple explanation, maybe there wasn't. But at least in this case, the child came home alive. The next case didn't end nearly as well. Case 2, the voice on the radio. Night searches are difficult. Visibility drops, landmarks disappear, and radio communication becomes critical. One search and rescue volunteer was participating in a nighttime operation deep in forested terrain. The mission had been underway for several hours. The team was spread out, each member moving through assigned sections of woodland. At around midnight, he heard his team leader over the radio. The message was clear. "Come further east. I found something." The volunteer immediately changed direction. He trusted the voice. He had worked with that team leader for years. For nearly 10 minutes, he continued moving toward the location. Then his radio activated again. This time, it was the actual team leader. The first thing he asked was simple. "Where are you?" Confused, the volunteer replied that he was following instructions. There was a pause. Then the team leader answered. Nobody had transmitted anything. The volunteer stopped walking. According to later reports, he was much farther from the search area than he realized. Radio logs were checked. No transmission existed. No equipment malfunction was found. No explanation was ever confirmed. To this day, nobody knows where the original voice came from. And while strange radio events are unusual, they aren't impossible. The next case is different. Because this time, investigators found something even stranger. Nothing. Case 3. The empty campsite. Search teams were looking for an experienced hiker who had failed to return from a weekend trip. Weather conditions were stable. The trail was familiar. Nothing suggested an emergency. Then the hiker stopped responding. A search operation was launched. Several hours later, rescuers located his campsite. At first glance, everything looked normal. His tent was standing. Food remained untouched. Personal belongings were still inside. His wallet was there. His phone was there. Even his boots remained near the entrance. It looked as if he had stepped away for only a moment and never returned. There were no signs of violence, no indications of a struggle, no useful tracks, no clear direction of travel, nothing. Investigators searched the surrounding area extensively. No trace of the missing hiker was ever located. People disappear every year. That's unfortunate, but it happens. What investigators couldn't understand was how someone could vanish without leaving a single useful clue. And that brings us to a search operation where rescuers thought they finally had a trail to follow, until the trail simply ended. Case 4. The footprints that ended midway. A hunter failed to return home after a routine trip. Search teams were deployed the following morning. Fresh snow had fallen overnight. Conditions were ideal for tracking. Rescuers quickly located footprints. The tracks appeared normal, human, adult-sized, easy to follow. For several miles, the footprints continued through the forest. Then something unusual happened. The trail stopped. Not gradually, not because of weather, not because of terrain. It simply ended. The final print was clear, visible, undisturbed. Beyond it, nothing. Searchers expanded the area. They checked nearby slopes, trees, rock formations, creeks. Nothing. No additional tracks were ever found. No evidence explained where the hunter went next. Even experienced rescuers admitted they had never seen anything quite like it. No animal tracks, no weather event, no obvious answer. But strange footprints are one thing, a strange voice is another. The final case combines both. And many rescuers who worked it still refuse to discuss it publicly. Case 5. The last radio call. The final case began during a late afternoon search operation in remote terrain. One volunteer was assigned to check a section of forest alone. The assignment was routine. Nothing seemed unusual. Hours passed without incident. Then his radio activated. The transmission was recorded. At first, everything sounded normal. The volunteer calmly described his surroundings. Then his tone changed. "Wait, who's standing over there?" Several seconds of silence followed. The command team attempted to contact him. No response. Then one final message arrived. "Hello?" The transmission ended. Search teams immediately moved toward his last known position. When they arrived, he was gone. The volunteer was eventually located alive, but according to reports, he refused to discuss what had happened. He completed basic interviews, returned home, and never spoke publicly about the incident again. Most search and rescue cases have answers. A person gets lost, a mistake is made, evidence is found, and eventually, the story makes sense. The 5 cases you heard tonight never reached that point. Maybe there are logical explanations. Maybe those explanations simply haven't been discovered yet. Or maybe some places keep their secrets. What do you think happened? Let me know below. And if stories like these interest you, there are many more waiting to be told. Until next time, stay safe out there.